John Mioli, if you want to lead us off, you can go ahead.
How's it going, Dean?
Not too bad.
Cool. My internet dropped out on the last one, so I hope it doesn't hear. How did getting the experience you got at the end of last season inform your training and what you were trying to do in this offseason?
I don't think anything that happened last season. Actually, it might have. I just try to build on just getting better in general, not necessarily just to pitch at the big league level, but better myself. Work out some mechanical kinks that I think I need to work on, and try to build my stuff to get just that tick better, regardless of what level.
Dan Connolly, you can go ahead.
Building off of that, Dean, what about personally? I mean, you're a major leaguer for the first time this offseason. How is that any different for you this year than, past off seasons?
To be honest, it really didn't settle in. I still felt like just a baseball player, just trying to get better and continue to grow and try to stick up there.
Steve Molesky, you can go ahead.
Dean, was the cutter always as prominent for you as it was in those major league starts last year, or did something change? There was some talk about work and improvements you kind of made on it over the last 12 months. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I always tinkered with a slider, but could never really get a full slider to break as much as it needed to. So during quarantine, while I was already built up, I figured I'd work on a cutter and try to keep it smaller and firmer, and just kind of toyed around with release points, and ended up turning out to be a pretty good pitch so far.
Rich Dubroff, you can go ahead.
Hey, Dean, for the first couple of days, we talked with Holt and we talked with Hyde about you guys having innings counts and coming off a short season last year. What was your preparation because of that different in the off season? And what are your thoughts about being on a strict innings count because of the short season last year?
It didn't really affect anything that I did during the off season. It was a similar buildup, went through my various phases throughout the whole off season. And then that's probably one of the last things I'm going to think about, because I think although they're going to have strict limits, I think they're also going to ask how guys are feeling and how they're performing. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a longer leash than maybe they've seemed to say, but I don't know. I'm not the coach.
Mark Viviano, you're up next.
Hey, Dean. This organization is counting on guys like you and a number of others coming up to the big leagues. As a guy who broke through to the big leagues last year, what can you impart to those guys coming up behind you in terms of what it took to make that next step to the big leagues and what the experience is like?
For some guys, it's timing. For some guys, it's stuff. Just in general, I say keep your head down and keep working hard. And I mean, their time will eventually come.
Joe Trezza, you're up.
Dean, do those workload issues that Rich asked about concern you at all from an impact standpoint? Like you finally made the majors last year, and then in a normal year, you'd have maybe X amount of innings to make an impression. And now, that number might be smaller this year. Do you think about that at all?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, for every time I step out on the field, I'm trying to help put the team in a position to win and play well. So it doesn't matter whether it's 20 innings or 40 innings or 150 innings. My goal out there is the same as always.
Nathan Ruiz, you're up.
Hey, Dean, you were part of a pretty impressive rotation in Bowie a couple years ago. What's it like to see a lot of those guys now in camp on the 40-man roster, all competing for spots on the major league roster together?
It's awesome, man. I mean, all those guys really worked hard throughout that year, 19, and what they did in 20 was also pretty good from the standpoint of how much we actually could do. But yeah, it's awesome seeing familiar faces and guys that I've played almost a full season with, as opposed to guys who I just barely met for a month or two last year.
Joe Trezza with a follow-up.
Yeah, Dean, it's unrelated to the last question, but your flow has been getting a lot of love on social media. What are your hair goals?
Well, I'm up until this point, I've had 2 haircuts a year. I get one right before spring training. I get one right when I go home. This is actually the first time that I've like let it get long before spring. So I don't know. We'll see how much I can manage it throughout the whole season if I won't get a slight haircut during.
John Mioli with a follow-up.
Dean, your first spring training, I guess it was 2019. There weren't that many pitchers that you knew there. Like you mentioned, you had your whole Bowie staff here now. It's 2 years later. Do you feel like this is the start? You and Keegan getting up there last year, Bruce, some of these guys joining. Do you feel like this is the start of a new era in young pitching, getting to the big leagues and sticking there for the Orioles?
Yeah, I think so a little bit. I mean, you can always learn from guys that have already been there and they're going to continue to be there. But for the most part, I think the young guys are definitely hungry and they want to show what they got.
Mark Viviano with a follow-up.
Yeah, couldn't let this go since you got a hair question there, Dean. But is there something to, I don't know, the personality of having that out there? Because you see a few guys in the league that are letting it go, and even your teammate, Hunter Harvey.
Right.
There's something about the personality or the presentation that shows?
I don't know. I've kind of had long hair for most of my post high school life. It hasn't been this long on a consistent basis, but I don't know. I'm from California. I kind of got to look the part, flip flops and long hair and a necklace.
Gotcha.